Alright guys, at the time I'm recording this, I just woke up an hour ago, but it is September 15th, 2020, which means it is Undertale's 5th anniversary today. Happy anniversary, Undertale. And so much stuff has been added to the website. First of all, the 5th anniversary concert stream, which I am super excited for, that is happening tonight on the Undertale official YouTube channel. But what I want to look at is these three things that are added this morning. First of all, the Undertale line stickers. Volume 2 is here. Now, these are just some cool stickers you can buy for a couple dollars. That's not important. But these two are. I'm going to make two separate videos on these in case like other people searching them want to view them separately. But I'll talk about the Undertale 5th anniversary Alarm Clock Winter Dialogue in a video that will be released right after this. First, I want to look at the Deltarune status update, September 2020. Now, I'm just going to go through this, share my theories, see what it's all about. I haven't fully read this yet. I've read most of it, but I haven't fully read this. But I'm super excited. Introduction. Hi, everyone. If you're reading this, you must have been sticking around for about 5 years. I want to express my gratitude for everyone that has supported and encouraged me over this time. Thank you. I've said it many times before, but I didn't expect the simple game I made to receive so much attention. Because of that, many interesting things have happened, and now I can even spend my time making another game. It seems both of us received a lot of happiness from this occurrence. If it's okay, I would like to keep striving to do things that make both of us happy. Let me know what you think about. And also he says, since Undertale demo released in 2013, technically the game has really existed for 7 years, which is almost a quarter of Toby's life, which is insane. And already we have two screenshots from Chapter 2 of Deltarune. And, okay, I'm just going to go in depth to these. Considering this is Chapter 2 and we see the city area, this battle probably takes place in the city, but we already have two new enemies. Now, I'm not quite sure to think of these. They almost look like they have, like, peace symbols or some sort of staff that they're holding, but they make me think of, like, aliens or even some sort of, like Dr. Mario viruses or whatever. But it says in the bottom, everyone treated the enemy with tender love and care. All the enemies felt great. So, and you can see on the left, Chris is in a doctor's outfit, and so is Susie and Rousey. Rousey's got a little cup with the rainbow. Susie's got a freaking, like, giant needle. And Chris is doing something with tea and pills. But they've all got their own outfits on, and that's really interesting to think about. They obviously did some sort of act, probably a full team act. And what exactly happened? Did they put on these outfits for the act? Did they put them on to take care of the enemy? Or are they able to do that act because they have the outfits on? Or are they unrelated? Did they simply just have outfits for this part, and they only encounter enemies in this part, which would make sense that they could do this act for this part? It's cool to think about, but it's very possible that it's one of the first two, that we might actually be able to wear certain outfits and fight and get unlock new acts that way, or certain acts will actually show different outfits of the characters, which would be really cool to think about. And on the right, we have the oh, wait, I almost forgot one thing. Also, Rousey. I don't know if this is just because of the outfit, but Rousey is looking like Azrael again. He's got the white fur. He doesn't have the hat that makes him look black on. So that's cool to think about, that maybe Rousey is not only going to be in our party, that wasn't confirmed until now, that Rousey was even going to be in our party after Chapter 1, but he is going to stay with us. But it's also the fact that we're going to be seeing him looking like Azrael, and no longer the silhouette form with dark fur he looked like in Chapter 1. But on the right, we can see this is another part of the city. The city was teased by Toby like a year ago when he released Into the City. But this seems to be some sort of car minigame. It almost looks like a Frogger-type minigame where you're trying to dodge past the cars that are coming past. And we also have 2-stop and 5-stop. 2-stop is glowing red, while 5-stop is gray with a green light. This is definitely going to be some sort of minigame. Maybe it is a Frogger type, you just don't want to get run over by the cars, or maybe it's even just, like, maybe it's some sort of rhythm game. I don't know, but it's cool that we're seeing little tidbits of what's being in development. But now we're actually going to look at what Toby's saying about Deltarune. I will make another. I'm making a game called Deltarune. It is the second game in the Undertale series. The game will be released in many chapters, the first of which I released 2 years ago on Halloween. Since that time, I've been working hard to figure out the rest of the game. However, it's a game that's much harder to make than Undertale. Graphics are more complicated and several times more involved, systems are more complicated, exposes the weak points of my creative and artistic ability, plot is much harder to tie together, more characters, more important locations, signify more content than Undertale in one playthrough, especially cutscenes, and he's only made one game ever, which is Undertale, and he's already going to this, which is crazy. It's also kind of weird how Toby references chapters because until now it's been known that, or it's been known, at least if you read the FAQ, that that Toby was releasing Deltarune Chapter 1 as a sort of demo. The rest of the chapters would come as the full game. The game would be split into chapters, yes, but the game would still be released all at once after Deltarune Chapter 1. But now he's saying it'll be released in many chapters, and it gets much more confusing as I go on. So whether he's still sticking with that first plan, or we might get some more sneak peeks in chapters, I'm not sure. But if we go further, unlike Undertale, this is the type of the game that would normally have many designers working on each aspect of the game. A story writer, a composer, an audio director, a map designer, a battle designer, a minigame designer, and an overall director. Instead, all of those roles end up handled by me. The good news is that a few months ago, I completed a significant milestone regarding the game's design. I completed readable outlines for every chapter in the game, including first-pass dialogue for almost all the cutscenes, examples of the music, etc. Although certain details are still hazy, the flow of the game and all major events and battles that take place are now clear. So the plot of Deltarune is mostly complete. That means he's just going to be working on actually creating the game now, which means there is a full story behind Deltarune in existence, which is cool, and there's definitely some stuff to think about, like what more will we learn about Deltarune, and considering it's already finished, the story for Deltarune is mostly finished, the game just needs to be made. We might be getting some more teasers. There's even some teasers in here that I will be talking about later, and in our alarm clock dialogue, but I'll talk about that in a bit. In summary, I largely spent the past 2 years writing, composing, designing, and drawing. However, that's not the whole story. We had actually attempted to develop the game since this time too. Development started around March 2019, and 99% work was spent on investigating engines alternate the game maker, which I used for Chapter 1. Without getting into the details, I decided a few months ago to go back to Game Maker after all. It still felt like the best fit for the project, so using Chapter 1 as a base, we've started creating Chapter 2 since May 2020. A lot of progress has been made since that time. I believe we can complete this chapter, content-wise, before the end of the year, not accounting for translation, bug testing, and porting. I feel very confident. And the strange thing is, even though we ended up using the original engine, I don't regret the lost time either. Not only was I still busy designing the game, but during that long period, I was able to think of many ideas that make the game story and characters better. So basically, there's a bit of a hiatus. They were trying to figure out something besides Game Maker. Game Maker was the program that was used to make Undertale and Chapter 1 of Deltarune, but they were trying to find something alternative to it. Eventually, they just went back to Game Maker, and they got to work. I'm glad that I'm making the Deltarune that I have now, and that we are making healthy progress. And we have a couple more screenshots. Ho, 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 I'm a tough boy. Treat me like one of your items. We see that apparently Lancer is going to be an item. That may just be a test thing, and that's not actually going to happen, but it might be that Lancer is going to actually stick with us as an item, which would both mean that Lancer is sticking with us with Chapter 2 and onward again, which is great. We actually keep our friends. But he's a key item, and he's going to be in there, I guess. He's not going to be part of the party, which is, I don't know, it's weird. It's funny, though. And we have another screenshot of these same enemies. Now they have some sort of weird, crazy face on. Some more, maybe flustered face. Maybe that's before you actually take care of them. They have the happy face, so that's what they look like, trying to intimidate us. And they've also got arrows instead of the sort of peace signs that they're making with their staffs. Also, it could be they're just riding the arrow. Maybe they're like a witch riding a broom. Huh. But once again, we see our party members no longer in nurse outfits. So I'm starting to lean towards the fact that Axe can just change the outfits of the characters, and they just change in the doctor's outfit for that take care of the enemy act. And we also see Rouse down here. He, again, does not have his hat on. It's his normal outfit, but he's no longer going to have his hat on. He's going to look like Azure, who's going to have white fluffy fur for the rest of the game. And Susie and Chris look normal, and then we have the attacks from the enemies, which appear to be sort of like the Rabbits in Deltarune Chapter 1 that you can find in Scarlet Forest, where they toss something down at the top at you. But there's much more of them, they're smaller, and they're tossing these smaller projectiles. And now Deltarune status estimate. This one's a bit long, so bear with me. Since there's a lot to read, I'll try to put the status of the game in numbered estimates. Chapter 2, Phase 1 Design. Main design 100%, dialogue, etc. Initial setup 100%. Stuff involves setting up people to make the game, adding debug tools, documentation. Phase 2, Implementation. Art about 90%. Great job, Temmie. Cutscenes 80%, 90% are started but need the second pass. Bullet patterns 70%, enemies are mostly completed, bosses are about 40% done, need second pass. Non-bullet battle elements 30%. Some acts are done and enemies are fightable, but interactive acts need to be completed and polished, and the bosses aren't programmed outside of the bullet patterns. Audio 80%. Maps unknown percent. Most are started or placeholder, most need second pass. NPC interactions are completed in all spots where written, other 65%. Phase 3, finishing. Balancing 0%, bugs fixing 0%, translation 0%, reporting 0%. They haven't gotten past Phase 2. Honestly, a lot of stuff feels like 80% to me, but the truth is that what's there is quite rough now. Polish ends up taking a lot of time, so the real actual time value may be around 50% done. We'll see what happens. It'll be a lesson for everybody. But this means, outside of polish and some of the harder stuff to implement, Deltarune Chapter 2 is almost into the finishing phase. It's almost into the polish phase, so that's cool to think about. Progress for Chapters 3 and up, Phase 1 Design. Story and general game progression, so everything, the general story of the game with a first pass look, 100%. Cutscene dialogue, first pass, lacking cutscene instructions, 95%. Map design, textual, 70%, varies per chapter, earlier chapters totally completed. Map design drawn, 0%. This takes a lot of wrist energy, so I don't do it until we start programming. Enemy design, conceptual, 90%, all bosses are known. Enemy design, bullets, visual, 80%, varies per chapter, earlier chapters totally completed. Music concept, 95%, music completed, 50%, visual design. Background concept, first pass, 75%, important characters, bosses, first pass, 100%. So this is basically telling, though the art isn't mostly done, the design for most everything is done. Phase 2, art, 20%. Other content creation, 0%. Phase 3, release readiness, 0%. Nothing has been actually made besides Chapter 2. Just the design is done. But that means Toby does have a steady design that he is working on, which is so cool. He's making so much progress. These numbers can be somewhat deceptive, though. My true design style is to reach the moment where you have to make something, then suddenly think of something different at the last minute. I can relate to that. This is always how it's been with me and my work. I feel like no matter how much I plan, everything comes down to what I think of at the last second. You always end up using most of your time. Obviously, I'm not one who's ever made a game, but in some of my animations, I definitely do think of things that if I have more time, I start adding them in, add more polish than I would, add new stuff. So, yeah, that's a very common thing, Toby, but good luck on your game. Team and disability. You may have noticed from my phrasing, but yes, there is a team helping me create the game, which is great. He finally has a team. Other than me, there are about 3 active team members working day to day, with a few other people pitching in from time to time. The roles of the main members are overall content implementation and organization, bullet pattern implementation, part-time, and art, Temmie. Other than designing, I still have the role of system programmer. I'm extremely grateful to have a team helping me carry out my design, especially because of my disabilities, which have also made development more difficult. Although I have suffered from wrist and hand pain, about 5 months ago my wrist was the worst it's ever been. I could not play piano, use the mouse, and barely could use the keyboard. I navigated everything through voice to text. Through weightlifting, exercise, and various equipment, I have been able to somewhat increase the stamina of my wrist to an extent. Various solutions have included trackball mice for each hand, using voice to text whenever possible, and using a foot pedal to click the mouse, etc. Now, I can use the mouse and keyboard for a certain amount of time each day, provided I take frequent breaks. I wish I could work without stopping. Once the world situation improves, I would really like to take physical therapy again and or investigate surgery to repair my wrist. So, it sounds like Toby has carpal tunnel. And, yeah, carpal tunnel is a really bad thing. Don't overwork yourself, especially on a computer, because your wrist will start to hurt. So, but it sounds like Toby's suffering from that. Poor guy. He's been working on this a lot, but yeah, don't push yourself that far. But now, future plans. Once we finish Chapter 2, I would like to use it as the base to create future chapters from. After gaining experience from this chapter, I think making future chapters will be easier. Obviously, Chapter 1 is done, and they're using it as a base from Game Maker, but it wasn't intended to be like fully part of the game. Like chapter 1 was made to be a demo. Chapter 2 is more the finished, what it's going to be in the final game. And they might even go back and revamp chapter 1, who knows, but it's going to be used as a base. Part of me wonders if we could make the game faster if we increased the size of the team and did something insane like create multiple chapters in parallel. However, another part of me understands that adding more people doesn't guarantee that the game will be created faster if it's not done properly. I'm already just barely avoiding becoming a bottleneck on development even with a team of this size due to my physical limitations. To that end, I am interested in making a list of people that could potentially help me make the game. I'm not 100% sure if I'm going to ask anyone to help, but I think if I could find just one person that works well with me, it's worth asking. Chapter 2 is proceeding at a good pace. If we do take anyone on, it will probably only be for Chapter 3 onward, so please understand that anything we send you may not have an immediate result. People I am looking for. So this section right here till the end is just people Toby is looking to hire. Most of the info on Chapter 2 is already done, so if you don't want to watch this, you can click off the video right now. But this is just who Toby is looking to hire. Feel free to send your portfolio if you have the following qualifications. Worked in the game industry before, worked under NDA before, have professional references, a degree of creativity while also being okay with just following directions, and fluent in English. People I might actually use. Music transcription / basic arrangement, part-time. I usually start making songs by playing the piano and singing. An important step after this is to take this bass outline and transcribe it into melodies and chords. Though there are not too many remaining songs to transcribe, it would still help my wrist to have someone else start this process for me. Although I know many musicians, I'm sheepish to ask for help for them, because the main role is actually just to help me compose my own music. Helpful qualities: good at transcription, can stand listening to me sing, optional, can use an old version of Fruity Loops. That might be a music maker. Yeah, I think Fruity Loops is a music maker studio. Possibly. Bullet pattern programming part-time. I'm looking for someone to help me program bullet patterns into the game. These people will work from text and visual designs to create fun battles that match the feeling of the game. I already have one person helping with this, but I think a second person would help a lot. You need to be able to use Game Maker Studio 2 to manipulate objects on the screen and be okay with using pre-existing scripts to accomplish this. Helpful qualities: sense of fun and understanding of player perspective and gameplay balance. This aspect is 400-something times more important than programming ability. Reliable, able to make patterns based off of the visual text instructions, fine working with a poorly made battle system, able to sprite bullets, good visual timing sense. Minigame programming part-time. There are a few minigames and small interaction events in the games, which appear in and outside of battles. These could take any kind of form. Who knows what I'm thinking? Have you made a game before? Helpful qualities. Same sense of humor as me, same level of spriting ability is useful, and you have to have made a game that is fun, ability to work together with me. So those are all the people that Toby needs, and it's actually weird to think that Toby is currently for hire. I have had no experience programming, so it's not like I'm going to be in there. It's not like the average Joe is probably going to be able to do this. Toby is looking for, at most, probably 2 or 3 people. But yeah, Toby is currently for hire, so that's cool to think about. Unlikely to hire, but send me your information just in case. Cutscene programming, part-time. Besides the battles, the largest amount of content in the game is definitely the cutscenes. You have to understand Game Maker Studio 2, but the majority of the work is simply using a scripting system that I created to make characters move around the screen. The most important quality you can have here is not programming ability, but the ability to efficiently use the system in order to create scenes with a good sense of humor, timing, and emotion. I'd strongly prefer to hire someone I know to do this because it involves a story, so I most likely won't hire anyone else. So yeah, doesn't want to hire someone that will spoil the cutscenes, but still, if you're watching this or you read this and you think you might be able to, send me the info. Helpful qualities: can take text instructions and impart a proper sense of timing, humor, and weight to them. And you'll be fine working with a custom scripting system or smart enough to make something better that makes the game easier to make. Art part-time, sprite art. Tummy has already drawn a massive amount of art for the game and continues to do so. Thank you, Tummy Chang. And I already actually have a few other artists that have helped me that I'm more than happy to keep working with if things become more overwhelming. So currently, I don't need any more artists. However, personally, I'd really like to build up a portfolio of available pixel artists and even concept artists. It's not as if this is the only game I will make during my life. Anyone chosen for this game needs to be able to match the style of the game, but I'm interested in seeing people with different styles as well. Knowing that I have different options can open up my mind to different creative pathways. And I actually like how he says it's not as if this is the only game I'll make during my life. He's thinking ahead, and who knows? We might get more games from Toby Fox after Deltarune, and I'm guessing Deltarune is going to be one of the bigger games that he makes, but Toby might be making more games, so that's cool. Helpful qualities can take bad-looking sketches and turn them into art that looks good. Magic! Don't mind if your work gets completely drawn over or thrown out. Anyone that can draw cool or cute poses is good. Interested in seeing people that have an art style outside of the scope of the game. Wrist full-time. Someone needs to transform into a new wrist for me. Helpful qualities. Flexible doesn't hurt musical sense, so that's just satire. Thank you, Toby. But here we are at the end. That's everyone I'm looking for. The only other kind of person I might hire would be a single jack-of-all-trades type that can do all sorts of things such as cutscenes, bullets, or even assistant programming with good degree of visual flair. But if you can already do those sorts of things, aren't you busy making your own game already? Anyway, I'll show you the email now. Just make sure you've read these rules first. Don't send in emails about anything else. Don't send to other teams, Fangamer, etc. about helping out. Got it? Then please send your information to this email address, deltarunejobs@fangamer.com. Since Fangamer will be sorting through emails from me, we'll stop taking emails at the end of September so they don't get overwhelmed. Ultimately, I'm only looking for 1 or 2 people and to make a list of the rest of the potentially helpful people in the world. So, you've got till the end of September. If you're watching this and you think you got the qualities, go send them an email. Who knows, you might get lucky. Conclusion. That's all. Happy 5 years. Thank you, Toby Fox.